welcome back. Another episode of Channel 914. I'm your host, as always, Rail Allen. And today, I'm going to be talking about something that I don't really want to talk about. It's something that I really wanted to avoid pretty much for the most part. But it's come to the point, man, where I feel like there's just some things out here that I want to address, things that I see that I don't really particularly care for. And I feel like something that's really critical to us as a people, as Black people specifically. So a few weeks ago, a woman posted a video where she allegedly had just been hit in the face by a brick. A man had just hit her in the face with a brick. And she posted the alleged aftermath. Her face was very swollen, and then she was obviously very distraught. And she also spoke about it was outside and there were men standing around, Black men. So her alleged attacker was Black, and there were Black men standing around, and she was just saying that they didn't do anything to assist her. And this obviously got the internet in a tizzy. A lot of Black women were basically saying, this is, Black men aren't out here protecting Black women anymore. Black men are constantly attacking Black women. And on the opposite side of that, there were a lot of Black men that were in a rush to either justify or discredit the incident. Now, while I don't necessarily agree, but I won't even say necessarily, I don't agree with the narrative that Black men don't protect Black women as a whole. Obviously, there are instances and there are definitely ways that Black men need to step up and be more proactive and more protective of our sisters. Absolutely, 100%. I'm not going to sit here and say that women are lying. I do feel like Black men do attack Black women at a somewhat alarming rate. You see it more now. I don't know if it's just more of the internet, but I see a lot of disturbing things and a lot of disturbing trends on the internet in terms of Black men's attitudes towards Black women. And so I can't just outright discredit or act like this incident didn't happen. Now, there has been a lot of controversy surrounding the validity of this incident. A number of internet sleuths have gone to work and conducted their own independent investigations in an effort to discredit this. I've seen videos about her slapping white men, which seemed to be pretty much a gag. But I know in the beginning when it first happened, that was the first thing I saw, that men were saying basically she deserved this because she's be out here slapping men. Which, even if she was out here seriously slapping dudes, hitting somebody in the face with a brick, I don't know. I'm not going to justify that. And I've seen multiple posts about her being a scam artist. And this is just her latest scam. Now, she did get a GoFundMe up, and she raised about $40,000 from that GoFundMe thus far. But basically saying this was all just a scam for her to get money. One YouTube investigator I saw even went as far as say that he spoke with the nurse that treated her, and her face was not swollen because she got hit in the face by a brick, but rather she injected it with saline in order to get get the effect of her face being swollen. And then she planned the attack, and then no one actually saw her get hit in the face by a brick. She just ran over to these men and started recording after the fact, after it happened. Now, something is weird to me about recording after something like that happens, but that's just me. People record wild shit all the time. It seems like the first thing that happens when in incidents like that these days, whether they be people that are spectators or the victims themselves, it seems like the first thing people want to do is grab a phone and record or post, which is a whole separate issue altogether. But that in itself is not enough for me to say that she's lying, that this didn't happen. Now, back to this investigator. So now, outside of the obvious HIPAA violations that this would cause by this nurse divulging this medical information to this person, it seems pretty unrealistic that she would risk her job to try to debunk this woman's claims and reach out to this YouTuber because, first off, who the fuck are you? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, you're not associated with any sort of major news network. You just some random YouTube nigga with a following. So it just seems pretty unrealistic that this would happen the way he suggested it did. But a lot of people are going with it. I've seen it shared a lot of times. A lot of people are using this information to discredit this person. So, and I'm not here to debate the validity of the incident, right? I'm not here to say whether it did or did not happen. To be quite honest with you, I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm not going to sit out here and outright say she was lying. She does have a video of her face being swollen. There were videos that I did see of her past that suggest it's a little bit sketchy, but just because she has a sketchy past doesn't necessarily mean that she's lying right now. And I've seen nothing concrete on the other end to completely debunk it. So for me, it's just that's not really the issue here. The issue for me was how quickly so many men wanted to discredit or justify the attack, which is even crazier to me. It's one thing to want to discredit it, right? Now, I mean, I understand. Well, no, I don't understand. I'm not gonna say that. But I feel like discrediting, okay, that's bad. If you're just in a rush to discredit, excuse me, that's bad. Because I understand, like, okay, if somehow you happen to come across some information that you see and you weren't necessarily looking for, it's just like, oh, wow, maybe this woman is lying, right? But it came across as like, okay, nah, I automatically know this woman is lying. Let me go find something, right, to discredit her because I know this woman is not telling the truth. Which is like, how do you know? And I know that a lot of people have used the Carlee Russell incident as their like poster child for, okay, yeah, black women be lying about shit like this. And that's one fucking incident, bro. Like, how many times has something like that actually happened, right? Carlee Russell was a fucking moron, right? She was trying to do something to her boyfriend, who, by the way, also seems like a fucking moron in the way he's behaved after the incident, making club appearances and shit. But yeah, that whole incident was just, that's kind of a one-off, man. Like, you can't use that as a baseline for black women, right? That's a very, very, very isolated incident. I mean, that went pretty fucking far. But it's just in those days after the incident was first posted, what really got me was like the men justifying it, right? And it's crazy because like they would say things like, well, nobody deserves to get hit by a brick, but then go on and list all the reasons why they feel like it was justified that she got hit by a fucking brick. It's like when somebody says something, like they say no disrespect, and then proceed to say something disrespectful, like just because you said no disrespect, that disqualifies from me being angry and thinking that what you're saying to me is disrespectful. It's the same shit. You're saying nobody deserves to get hit by a brick, but then you go on to list the reasons as to why this woman deserved to get hit by a brick. You can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like and regardless of what the fuck she did, if she was out here slapping people, if she was out here slapping men for real, which by the way, I saw that, it looked like a gag to me. If she was out here doing that, still, bro, like getting hit in the face by a brick, and even that there are people that allege that some people claim that they were there and it actually did happen, but they're saying that she was like talking shit to him. She said it was just because she didn't want to give him her number, but a lot of people are saying that were there saying that she was talking shit to him, that she was berating him. Even still, man, just walk away. Like, for you to actually pick up an object and hit her, like, you can kill somebody like that. There's no justification for that unless your life is in imminent danger yourself. That's the only way you should be using lethal force, man. And in general, as a rule of thumb, men are typically physically stronger than women. So it should never be an incident where you feel like you should have to pick up a fucking brick and hit a woman in the face. No qualifying statements, nothing there. It should never happen, right? And but it's not just that, man. This is just kind of like the latest incident. Well, one of the latest incidents. I see stuff like this a lot, man. Recently, there's an NBA player, Kevin Porter Jr., was arrested for assaulting his girlfriend. She suffered a fractured vertebrae during the attack. And once again, and I really don't go comment diving, but this was sent to me by a couple of different people that I noticed and posted about it, and then it was sent to me about how you go in the comments and men are just like, well, what did she do? Like, she had to have done something. And that just is baffling to me, that someone would be seeking to justify somebody getting their fucking neck broken. Like, it just, it really is disturbing to me, man. It's like the vibe between black men and black women on the internet these days has become about as wide as the Grand Canyon. There's no shortage of podcasts, influencers, relationship experts, everyday internet posters, people giving their opinions on why dating is impossible and what the opposite sex does and does not deserve from them, right? It's become fucking nauseating. I'm so sick and tired. It's every day. It's nonstop. Every time. You cannot scroll on the internet one day without seeing something around dating or some sort of divisive post between black men and black women, what men are doing, what women aren't doing, why one group ain't shit, why this person ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? It's constant, and it's too much, man. It's not constructive. It's not coming from a place of let's figure this out so we can come together. It's really just a bunch of bickering and fucking finger pointing and name calling. It's some shit that needs to stop. Yeah. And there's been a lot of research done on the division of the black family structure. One of the most notable and debated was done in 1965 by a guy by the name of Daniel Patrick Moynihan. He worked for the Department of Labor at the time. And the report that he released in 1965 was entitled "The Negro Family: The Case for National Action." Most would simply come to know it as the Moynihan Report. That's how people refer to it these days. The report's most disputed claim was that that there was a destructive culture in the ghetto that could be traced back to slavery, and that families were often separated during that time, as we all know the history. So because of this, the black family structure was inherently broken. This report has been picked over and debated even to this very day. But the report did predict that single-parent-led households would continue to rise, and that's something that we have seen. Regardless of what's actually causing this, numbers don't lie. Almost 70% of black children are born to single mothers. And to that point, there seems to be a lot of disdain for single mothers. Specifically, I see a lot from black men, which is weird to me because we don't reproduce asexually. So if there is a single mother, there's a single man out there somewhere that impregnated her and thus for whatever reasons, may not be her fault, may not be his fault, but for whatever reason, she didn't become single by herself. She didn't create this child by herself. So the fact that there's all there's a lot of venom for single mothers and single fathers don't necessarily get any of that. seems to be a lot. It's very confusing to me. It seems like a lot of people say like single mothers are like the downfall of the black community. It's just like, bro, how the fuck did they become single mothers? Somebody had to get them pregnant, bro. I mean, it's kind of a fact of biology. But that's neither here nor there. So there have been a lot of things that have happened to disrupt the black family over the years. The welfare system, which ultimately incentivized not having a man in the household contributing financially. One of my mother's favorite movies is Claudine. It's an old movie, man. Came out in 1974, starring Diane Carroll as the lead, Claudine, and her love interest in the movie was James Earl Jones. I forgot his name in the movie, but I remember watching it and seeing when there was this white caseworker, a woman that came to Claudine's house with her kids, and she was asking a lot of invasive questions, asking if she was seeing anybody, seeing if she was seeing a man, if he was giving her money, and there were things they had to like hide a bunch of stuff, basically make it seem like they weren't doing well or didn't have certain amenities because, and if they did have those things, or if she was seeing a man, if that man was giving her anything, taking her on dates, doing anything for her financially, then that caseworker could adjust the amount of aid that they were given, which, I mean, obviously they weren't living high on the hog. They were just getting by, barely getting fucking by. But any little assistance would lower what they were getting, the amount that they were getting, they were already struggling on. So this caused, and this was a real thing, even though I'm talking about a movie here, this was a depiction of what really happened in the world. So this incentivized not having men in the household. There have been many studies done on this and how this has ultimately affected and almost, in a sense, promoted single motherhood. There's also globalization, removing a lot of low-skilled factory jobs that black men were using to support their families. Black communities being flooded with drugs, and then the subsequent war on drugs, which led to mass incarceration. I mean, there's a lot of blame that can go around here, man, that's kind of aided in us being separated the way we are. But it seems nowadays black men and women are just determined to point the finger at each other. It's like we're blaming each other for things that happened to us, things that were essentially, a lot of it was beyond our control. A lot of things are socially engineered, so to speak. We're blaming each other for, and it seems like a lot of times we forget a lot of our history and what's happened. Now, obviously, there's always a personal accountability and personal responsibility factor. We have a part to play in this, absolutely, 100%. But you can't just spout things and blame people for stuff without taking account the entire picture of what's happened to us. But it's really gotten just fucking insane out here, man, with how many people are out here just spewing a lot of venom at the opposite sex. Many men claim that modern women, a term that I have come to absolutely fucking hate. I feel like as soon as I hear a man say modern woman, I kind of tune out. Like I really don't want to hear what the fuck you got to say after that. They claim that modern women are too masculine and independent, constantly bashing black men. They say they want more traditional and submissive women. You see a lot of the passport bros going to different countries, going down to like third world countries and shit, getting women, talking about, yeah, these women are submissive, they'll do anything for you. And a lot of them are really just trying to possibly use you for getting green cards. Many of them could also possibly be prostitutes, who essentially will do anything you ask if you pay them. And it just comes across a lot of times as dudes want servitude. Like you just want somebody to shut the fuck up and make you a sandwich. And that's just not the way this shit works anymore, man. Fact is, women have made a lot of strides over the years in terms of, their rights and in the workforce. I mean, there was a time that not that long ago, women didn't have the right to work. They couldn't own property. They couldn't open a fucking bank account. A lot of things. There were a lot of barriers in their way. A lot of that stuff was even placed even into the 80s, man. And the vacuum that was created by black men being incarcerated, unemployed, underemployed, at levels that far outpaced their white counterparts, led to women not having a choice but to work, right? And they go to work, they go to school, they excel, they get good jobs, and the fact of the matter is women, in a lot of instances, black men, there is kind of like a stigma, a fear factor that comes where like women are seen as more docile. And that's neither here nor there, because I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, and I don't want to misconstrue or say anything that might be taken out of context. But there are a lot of factors as to why women have advanced in corporate America, become more educated, earning higher salaries. But it's not their fault. This wasn't in spite of black men. There wasn't like this meeting amongst black women that say, okay, fuck black men, we're just gonna do this and we're gonna like advance ourselves because they ain't shit and we don't fuck with them. It was a lot of this shit was done out of necessity. It's not something that they've done intentionally to spite us, right? Now, on the other side of that coin, many women claim that there are no real men anymore, that men don't want to protect and provide the way that they once did. Many women will say, in fact, that men are just incapable of it, right? That they can't protect and provide. We don't know how. We wasn't taught to us. It's not in us anymore. It's not inherent in our character, which I don't agree with at all as a whole. Fact of the matter is, black men are still unemployed at double the national average and still have the highest incarceration rates in this country. And with this current economy, with as expensive as shit is out here, and with many black men that either are still unemployed or underemployed, it's kind of unrealistic to expect most men to be able to completely financially provide for a household without any financial assistance whatsoever from a partner, man. Shit is expensive out here. It really seems like the internet will have you believing that it's pretty much impossible to find a mate out here. You listening to influencers and podcasters with distorted views, unrealistic expectations, it could possibly have you out here single forever and now further work to divide the black family. And it really is kind of foolish, like the debates that you hear out here. Like there's the whole coffee date thing that like hear a lot of men, well, I'm just going to invite her to coffee. So that way it's a very inexpensive way to like get to know her or try to see her without actually taking her out on a date. Wherever it's just like, bro, if you're dating, shit costs. If you're going to take a woman out, take her out. Don't try to maneuver around ways to like spend money or do anything like that. You also don't have to take her to some fancy fucking restaurant and spend $300 on the first date either, man. There's a happy medium in there. And it's just if you're going out of your way or just feel like, and it's like almost like, well, what does a woman deserve? Or why does a woman deserve me to take her out on a date and spend money on her? It was just like, bro, like what do you want? What is your qualifier? Like what needs to happen before you're willing to actually take a person out on a date? It's just weird to me. It's just like, do you want her to start performing wifely duties before you take her to fucking Sizzler? That's a dated ass reference. I just really told how age I was. I said Sizzler, but you know what the fuck I mean. It's really weird, man, that those things. But then, in all fairness, there are a lot of women that have unrealistic expectations about what they should expect from a man right off the bat. Like, a man should be, before we get together, before we date seriously, you should be able to help me pay my bills, give me some money, pay for my hair and nails. I've seen shit about how, like, before you take me on a date, you should pay for me to get my hair and my nails done and pay for a babysitter. And it's just like before the first date, bro, like that is outrageous to me, right? But both of those views on both sides of those coins, I feel like are extreme and don't necessarily represent the norm of what's actually going on out here. My suggestion is stop letting the internet tell you about what's happening in the real world. So much in the internet is a fucking fantasy world. It's not true. It's not real. It's a lot of people out here saying things that aren't true, saying that they do things that they don't actually do, living by things that they don't, saying they live by things that they don't actually live by, for clicks and views, for likes, to create traffic, right? They'll just say anything to elicit a reaction out of people that's generating traffic that's going to help their metrics. No one can really tell you about what you experience on the day-to-day. What your expectation should be when looking for a partner should be something that you decide for yourself. Everybody is different. You should be trying to figure out what works for you and not letting someone else tell you what works for you. I'm no expert. I ain't married. I have multiple failed relationships in my past, all for different reasons, man. Some was my fault. Some things I fucked up. Some things I wasn't ready for. Some things I had to grow from. Some were not my fault. Some were not the fault of either party. Some were just due to circumstances beyond our control. Sometimes shit just don't work out, right? But every experience was different. What made them happy, what made them sad, what made them tick, what turned them on sexually, what they liked, what their values were in relation to mine, the ways we had fun, the way we kicked it, the ways we related. Every single person that I've dated or been in a relationship, those things have been different. So I can't take anything from those into another experience with someone else because it's not going to work that way. And so that's the thing I see. Like there are a lot of blanket statements to go out here. It's just like, okay, you need to do this. In every relationship, when you meet a guy, you see this, you just do this. And it's not like, bro, that's not going to work for everybody. You're taking personal advice from somebody off their personal experience when your shit could be completely fucking different. So and everybody wants advice, man. Everybody takes suggestions, right? And that's not to say that some things aren't valid. Some advice that you can't, it's not that you can't take any advice from anybody. Some people actually might have some valid points to make. I tend to try to listen to people that are married, that have been married for a long time. One thing I do know that's constant is that it takes a lot of work. Relationships are difficult. Relationships are hard. It takes a lot of compromise. And it's not always one person doing the heavy lifting. Sometimes you're doing the heavy lifting together. Sometimes it's just one person. Sometimes one person is doing a little bit while the other person is doing a lot. Sometimes people are doing things equally. And you have to be willing to roll with that. You're not always going to like the person. You're not always going to feel like you're in love with the person. But there's a commitment made. And in terms, you have to honor that commitment through better or for worse. And it seems like a lot of times people at the first sign of discomfort, at the first sign of something that they don't like or something that is less than what they feel like they deserve, based on whether those expectations are realistic or not, they're ready to go. And it's just, man, that's just not how the real world works, at least in my experience. Which obviously, once again, I'm no expert. I'm not married, man. I'm still out here trying to figure this shit out myself. But I do know this. We have to learn to experience each other and accept people for who they are. And just because this person doesn't work for you doesn't make them bad people. Sometimes they're just bad for you. ultimately, we need each other. We literally cannot make other humans without one another. It's physically impossible. But not just for that, there's just no way to advance without each other in our lives. Men need women, women need men. It just is what it is. We're made different for a reason. It's to complement each other, man. It's not to create division. Where one is weak, the other is strong. We need to view our differences in terms of balance and not to further imbalance, not to further division. We're made different because we're meant to help each other in different ways, right? It's just the way it is. We got to get this shit together, man. It's really not a good look. And I know it may be at the expense of likes and clicks and views for some people, man, but ultimately it's for the better of us. We don't need any more relationship podcasts unless you're trying to be constructive. We don't need any more relationship experts. We don't need any more fresh and fit people, which ironically, just a quick sidebar, how they got demonetized after putting all those copyright claims on other YouTubers that they didn't necessarily agree with or quote unquote had beef with. And YouTube ended up demonetizing them at the end of the day. Karma's a bitch. But we don't need any more of those, right? We need things that are inclusive, things that are meant to bridge the gap, to bring people together. We don't need any more separation, man. I think the time for that is past. And I definitely think it's possible. But what I see right now is scary. Black men, we gotta do better. And I'm not a black woman, so I can't speak to the experience of black women, but I'm just gonna speak about what I see for us. I see justification of violence and discrediting and just flat out disdain and hate of women too often. And a lot of times it's disguised as just an opinion or based on some sort of like inflated statistics or some shit that you found from the internet somewhere that a lot of times ain't even true. I can understand based on just off the internet how someone could inform the opinion that a lot of black men don't like black women. And it really is kind of sad. And I really would like us to get to a better place when it comes to that. And that these couple of incidences and just seeing how quick men were rushing to try to discredit this woman and to try to justify her being hit in the face by a brick, regardless of the shit is true or not. A lot of these people didn't know or still don't know whether or not this actually happened. But just the fact that debate is happening is disturbing. And we got to do better. We have to do better. But I have faith in us. I really do. I know we can do better. And based on my real life experience, I have a lot of quality, good black women in my life, from family and friends, relationships. Have a lot of quality black men that do their part, black men that do protect, black men that do provide. My personal experience is not the experience of the internet. I don't see in real life what people claim is happening out here. But I know that the internet can influence real life and what people think is happening. Your perception becomes your reality. And I just want people to be more real about what they see and treat these experiences as individual instances and not just automatically lump things together. And also take some personal responsibility. You know, you could be the one fucked up. You could be the one out here. And that's not for men or women. That's for everybody. We all have a part to play in our story. The main role, to be quite honest with you. So gotta look inward sometimes as well, and don't always rush to the internet or rush to blame others for your shortcomings in your romantic relationships. Gotta do some work on yourself as well. But I have faith. I know we can do better. I know it's gonna get there. And I love y'all. Black women a little bit more because I'm a man. And also because I have a daughter, man, who I would like to wish a happy birthday to. My kid, this is her golden birthday, 15 on the 15th. Is my kid, man, she is my pride and joy. Raising this human being has been, without a doubt, the greatest experience of my life, man. She is she is so fucking awesome in so many ways. And you guys have seen her. Everybody that knows me knows her. You know, they know what an awesome and talented young person she is. So Tania, happy birthday. You know I love you, and you know, cheers to many more. And I also have to wish a happy birthday to my brother, whose birthday is the day before my daughter's, the 14th of September, 9/14, which I know I've said this before, but that is the reason that this podcast is called Channel 914, is for my brother. It's been 4 years now since you left us, and it's been a fucking journey, man. It's been hard, but I know that I found some comfort in knowing that you've become an ancestor, and knowing that your energy and your influence here on this plane is not completely gone. You find ways to remind me of that often. And, you know, while it's definitely still very painful to not have you here, there's definitely some comfort in that. My brother was such a good person, so jovial, man. Anybody that knew Rob loved him. I mean, you can't find anybody that could say anything bad about my brother. He was loved by so many people. And it's just really sad, man, that you're not here to see the world. I'll be interested in what you would be saying, what you'd be thinking. I you know, the other night when Aaron Rodgers went down in 4 fucking plays, it's like, I know your ass would have been calling me as soon as it happened or as soon as you heard, laughing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I mean, if anybody knows my struggles as a Jets fan, it was my brother. You know, and it's the things like that you miss, right? The inside jokes, somebody knowing you better than anybody else on this world. Shit like that is you can't replace. And I never try, but it has gotten easier over time. You know, I've come more to a place of being able to celebrate your birthday instead of just being, you know, really sad and depressed about it. And I'm going to continue to try to live on with that energy. I will tell everyone, in line with the theme of this, in terms of, man, we just got to love each other. You just never know, man, if you got some sort of bad blood or you've been mean to call somebody or mean to talk to them, do it. My brother was gone, it would seem like in an instant. He wasn't sick. He wasn't, you know, it wasn't like he was in the hospital for a little while and it didn't, like, you know, it was just literally the day of, I was in his training the day he passed. He passed on September 12th, 2 days before his birthday, 2 days before his 43rd birthday. He would have been 47 today. My brother's favorite show was Family Guy. which is fucking hilarious. So I was in this training class in Schaumburg. It was a Crestron programming class. And there was this dude in my class that looked and sounded just like fucking Peter Griffin. Minus the glasses, man. It was absolutely hilarious. So I go on Facebook and I just type a status and say exactly that. There's a dude in my training class that looks and sounds just like Peter Griffin. And my brother commented almost immediately, right? Post a picture. And I was like, hold on, just give me a second. You know what I mean? I wanted to wait to wait, in the classroom. First of all, I got to pay attention. And for two, I didn't want to be super obvious, man. So I waited until we had a break in the class. And I took a picture of Buddy and I posted it in the comments. And I noticed that he didn't comment, right, after a little bit. Because we were like on a 30-minute break, and I noticed that he didn't comment. And I didn't really think anything of it at the time. And a little while after that, I'm getting a call from his wife and my sister-in-law. And she called me, and I'm thinking something about her birthday, send the voicemail. I'm in class. She calls me right back immediately. So I send the voicemail again. I'm like, okay. I text her like, hey, I'm in class. Is everything okay? She texts me back 911. So immediately I know something is wrong, and it's something to do with my brother. So I step out of the class, I call her, and I say, hey, what's going on? And she just tells me he's gone. It wasn't that he was sick and I need to come, that something happened, he wasn't doing well. It was just, he was already gone. And it was just, I just couldn't believe it. And I go back in the class and I just start gathering my things, and the professor, or not professor, constructor, whatever, asked me, hey, is everything okay? And the only thing I could say is, my brother just died. And I just get my shit together, man. I get out of there, and he came after me, and he gave me a hug, and just told me, hey, we'll be praying for you. Everything's going to be okay. And then, I didn't even know what to say in that moment. So I'm walking out, and then my mom called me, and she called me crying. And that's when, okay, this is real. This is happening. And yeah, man, it just, life changed in an instant, right? 1 second we joking. He asked me to post a picture about this dude in my class. And by the time I actually got a chance to do it, he was gone. Hours, right? I never anticipated that outcome. That's not something that I saw coming. I literally just talked to him 2 days before. We had a whole conversation. We talked about a lot of shit. He had just came back from Disney World. He took his family there, his wife and his daughter. And man, the odd thing was I called him because something was just like, man, I asked him how he's doing physically, you know what I'm saying? Like, just he had told me some stuff a few months prior, and I just, we hadn't talked about it again. I just wanted, hey man, how you doing? What's going on with that? And we ended up talking about everything but what the fuck I actually called him about. And, we talked about so much stuff. His birthday was coming up, what he planned on doing. The night before he passed, we had actually solidified some plans. We were supposed to hang out that next day. He passed on the Thursday. We had plans that Friday, the 13th, the day before his birthday. It was so odd because we kept just missing each other, right? Like, I would go to my parents' house and he'd just be leaving, or like I would have just been leaving and he came You know, we kept having these near misses, man. I'd say like the year he passed, I probably saw him the least that I had my whole life. And just that fact that I hadn't really seen him and that we were supposed to hang out that next day, man, tore me up, man. Still bothers me to this day. So if you're thinking about somebody, if you haven't talked to him in a while, you want to call him, something telling you, man, call him, go see him, go hang out with him, man. Listen, don't let a moment go by, because this shit can change in the instant, man. They call it the present because it really is a gift. No moment is promised to us. So with that being said, happy birthday, big bro. R.I.P. Big Rob, man. I love you. I'll continue to honor you, honor your legacy, keep your memory alive. There's so many people out here, man, that love you and miss you. So there's no way that you can ever be forgotten. And I make damn sure of that. And for everybody else, man, thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for supporting me. There's so much other content out here, so many relationship podcasts and shit like that you could be watching. So if you take the time to view mine, man, I never want to take that for granted. And I always want to express my gratitude. Until next time, peace.